Hello. The next session is on the topic of towards sustainable flows. We have with us Sayantoni Datta, the co-founder of Jaladarsha Collective. Her presentation will track the journey of the Jaladarsha Collective, focusing on their use of art to address water justice and climate resilience, highlighting water audits, community engagement, and artistic interventions aimed at fostering environmental consciousness in Kolkata. With a background in community development, Sayantoni Datta has led several initiatives on indigenous rights and environmental sustainability, bridging art, community, and environmental activism. I would request people to please take a seat before the session starts. I'll briefly introduce the accompanying performing artists who will be complementing Sayantoni Datta's presentation. First up, we have Akekke Ak by the children of Nonadanga. These are little artists residing close to the East Kolkata wetlands. Next, we have a performance titled The First Water is the Body by Uma Banerjee, Dr. Bedaparna Roy, and Aopala Banerjee, which merges the feminist approach in the collective of understanding the alienation of nature, Kolkata's lost rivers, with the alienation of the self and the body. Aopala is a multidisciplinary artist, primarily trained in dance with interest in films and performance. Dr. Bedaparna Roy is a microbiologist and Kathak dancer with 23 years of training. After that, we have a performance titled Ami Shudhu Kono Jolashoy Noi, performed by Taishi Nandi, who is an interdisciplinary musician based in Kolkata, whose inspiration revolves around the intrinsic connection of stories with music. Please welcome Sayantoni Datta, who will be leading the next presentation.
Good afternoon, everyone. Are you able to hear me? Yeah? I know it's a post-lunch session, but we hope to keep you well entertained through this session. We have three performances. It's a performative presentation. And I'd just like to start with who Jaladarsha Collective is. Jaladarsha Collective was basically founded up in 2019, and it was born out of a lot of serendipitous moments. Basically, it was a group of friends, strangers, all of us in the city who were thinking in a similar fashion. And we were actually thinking about crisis in the city. So, the new kinds, earlier the crisis in cities was to do with urbanization processes and the lack of participation of urban poor in the city's planning processes. But today, the crisis has become another fold, which is due to climate change. So we know that Kolkata is one of Asia's top cities which is going to be affected by is already being affected by climate change and is going to be affected by climate change in the future. And particularly floods, heat, and all of these are going to impact the city. So our gatherings were all about, talking about the future of this city. What do we want this city to be? And with a lot of discussion, we called ourselves Jaladarsha, which basically means water, a mirror of water. So what we are saying to all of you is that when you look at water around you, it's actually a reflection of yourself. So the environment and yourself is interconnected. So every time you look at your environment, it is saying something to you about you. And we are interdisciplinary and intersectional. By interdisciplinary, we mean we bring together different disciplines to talk about the future of the city. And intersectional, in this case, we mean we bring together people from different backgrounds. So we are not just looking at environment and sustainability from a, let's say, elite perspective. we are looking at a very grounded notion of what we mean by environmental action. So as you can see, we've already spoken about this. We work with different kinds of people and stakeholders so that we're able to inform as many communities and bring a flow in our action. Interestingly, that's how we have always been. It's always been these magnetic field forces where different people working on different issues have come together, and then we've come up with some action programs. We are going to be talking about the story of water today, but we work with various issues. We've worked in Sundarban during Amphan. We've worked on mangrove afforestation. We've worked with women collectives, particularly trying to look at what conservation-based jobs or livelihoods could be. Can we look at conservation-based livelihoods for the future? We looked at, working with children, women, youth, and I'll go to the beginning of our story, which is this painting, because what we wanted to do is express ourselves through art. Because we found that the expressions through art is what is reaching out to people much more than, speaking or, talking or writing about the issue. Now, this was the first painting, and I have to say that many young people came over just by looking at this painting. This painting is very symbolic of what we think about change. We look at very minute actions. We were talking about earlier in the day, drop in the ocean. So we look at very minute actions. We think about the little things, which if we think about the little things, then what we feel is it's going to connect up and create the larger picture. So many, many small actions which could then interconnect and create a ripple effect. So our thing is our action will create a ripple effect and create the larger momentum. Well, how did we start? We started with walking, what most people call an anarchist feminist act, which is we decided to walk all over the city and walk into parts of the city that we don't see. So we walked. And for us, walking was the bringing in freedom, transformation, flow. Because what we felt is that while we walked, we looked, we explored our physical surroundings. While we walked, we actually understood what's happening on the ground. So initially, when we started surveying the water bodies in our city, we were very scared because some of the water bodies are behind a building, or it's in the hinterland of the city, or it's, hidden behind something. It's not just Robindra Sarovar, right? There are lots of water bodies. So actually to go there, we were frightened. We actually had to do a body movement workshop amongst ourselves to take away the fear so we can go into various parts of the city. And most of our findings are placed in these books. You will find these books because Jaladarsha is actually it's a citizen action forum. It's basically citizens coming together and expressing themselves and putting their findings out for people, anyone who's in an important decision-making position to see and to read and see what we want to say. So our findings from all these surveys have been put together in these publications. While we walked, we reflected, we went into a pedagogy of the self, and we began to meet people and communities as we moved. So the first community that we met, which was in Borisha, Shitala Tala, Behala, they had actually managed to protect a water body from being captured by a multi-story building. How did they do it? They pray to goddess Shitala every year, and the pond was very important, a very important sacred site for that community, which is a fishing community. So that pond was related to the annual ritual, festivities there. So the idea was to combat that. It's a commons. So the city is not just privatized. There are commons in the city which are constantly being taken over. So in this case, the fishing community came together and fought for that pond and protected it. So you'll see, if you go there, you'll see the building. The building is there, but they've left the pond intact, and the community is allowed to go in and use that pond whenever they wish. So we started working with the children of these fishing communities, urban fishing communities, to really understand what life is, in terms of how these communities are relating with water and water bodies. This was also where we experimented with learning various forms and types of learning which could, enhance our view of the environment, our creativity. As you can see, we have classroom or learning spaces which are democratic learning spaces. We sit in a circle where we can see each other eye to eye, and we talk to each other eye to eye. So the teacher is not in a hierarchical position. The teacher is as much part of the student learning space, and we believe that when you break that hierarchy, you're able to come up with a lot more expression and beautiful ideas. So for us, breaking of that hierarchy, bringing in joyful learning methods, using, you can see children counting with actually materials that are available right there, stones. So learning math with leaves and with stones and all that is available around you, rather than it being some theoretical, abstract point. Same here, we use trash to make toys. And in this case, this is a physics class which we are organizing with trash toys and looking at momentum, force, energy. And the children are working on making cars and basically also looking at gender there as to, who makes the better car, the girls or the boys. So then having a discussion with each other on that. So these were our forums of creativity, our walking and looking at various ponds, our work with communities, and what we produced together after that. This was a very hard-hitting artwork done by one of the children from the fishing community. So this was such a catastrophic-looking fish. So we found that they actually were trying to tell us something. It's we just asked them to draw. And we said, you can draw animals. And they came up with this. Okay, so if young people are drawing fish that look like this, you can imagine what they are seeing. So after this point of, a lot of creativity, we actually had to stop because of COVID. So we couldn't continue our physical surveys. So we then began to do a digital art campaign, a citizens environmental campaign, where some of the younger people in the group did a digital art campaign, trying to reach out to citizens, asking them what they think their city should look like. Or, what would they want to voice something about their city. And we did an online citizen campaign where 179 citizens responded. And interestingly, the three top issues were poor waste management, water pollution, and air pollution. What we found is that among the water bodies in the city, one of the biggest problems for water bodies is that people are dumping waste in them. So there is no, that's the biggest solution for waste management. Throw it in the water body. Nobody is actually doing something about, waste management there. We spoke a little earlier about, practices of Durga Puja immersion. Our first video was around that how do we look at better practices on that. One of the things we discovered is that Shola, the plant that Shola is manufactured from, that is disappearing. When we actually spoke to artists, they said that that grows next to water bodies, and the water bodies are dying. So that shola is now being replaced with thermocol. So there are, interconnected issues, I feel, which we need to think about when we are all talking about this issue. So actually, if you look at the city of Kolkata, hidden in it are many, many stories of its culture and heritage of bogs, swamps, marshes, wetlands, because that is what the city has been created from. We cannot forget that we are part of a delta. And actually the city is embedded in a mangrove delta. So whatever we are building or whatever we are creating, we're actually trying to remove water and convert it into land. So when we walked through various parts of the city, we found that these ponds in various neighborhoods hold deep memories, histories, and narratives. As a group, we were able to take out the status of the water body. Is it smelly? Has it been taken care of? Who manages it? So we looked at these neighborhood principles, but we could not look at how, what the intangible heritage or cultural bits are. I mean, hopefully some group will actually take out the memories that these water bodies hold for each neighborhood. There are beautiful stories that these water bodies have. You all know about Monohar Pukur and how that part of the city was actually completely swampy marshland. People would feel scared to come to that part of the city. They would prefer the Adigonga route. And Monohar Bagdi, the famous dacoit who became, used to pray to Kali, Monohar Pukur is named after him. So that was actually forest area, completely forested, but it slowly changed. Similarly, we found other stories like a pond that served the refugee community for many years, the Laika pond. Or, there are ponds that have other historical. The first two ponds that we saw in Behala belonged to the Roy Chaudhary family. We had no idea, as we said, serendipitous moments. And we said, what a beautiful, everybody was using it. There were these old constructed, there was a old constructed house around it. And everyone communally uses that pond. And then we realized that the Roy Chaudharys were the people who leased Kolkata to Jobchana. So it was very serendipitous for us when we moved and we saw all these different stories. And these ponds, you can see how people use it for recreation. It's not just for fishing or some kind of economy. They use it for recreation. You need air. There was one community in Clown Town where they have no electricity. They are people who have migrated from the village into that area during Amphan and Aila, and they have no civic amenities whatsoever. So we asked them, it was very hot in that time, 45 degrees in the city. So we asked them, how are you managing? So they said that, this pond that you all have cleaned up, we actually go and sit next to it, and we get fresh air from there because we don't have fans at home. So, the thing that we realized is when we begin to look at these grounded issues of the environment in the city, we actually begin to look at rights in the city. How are we distributing our resources amongst ourselves? We found different ways in which people clean ponds. These two are an example of, an ecological way of cleaning ponds, which is basically you can still see fish, you can see the boundaries are filled with plants, and and then you see in the next, this is another way of cleaning ponds where it's cemented and you don't find much greenery around, and it's mainly used for swimming and nothing else. So what we found is the fishing cooperatives or the fishing communities were the most in tune with how to ecologically maintain water bodies. This is our first publication where we came up with a whole list of ponds that needed immediate action. There are 2-3 kinds of ponds and management. There are the local clubs that manage ponds, there are privately held ponds, and there are KMC managed ponds. Now, the privately held ponds are actually in the worst condition. For whatever property disputes or people aspiring to make houses or flats with them. So the privately held ponds are really in a, what we would say in the city, we're going through a transition in terms of its architectural journeys, in terms of actually how we see water and how we live with water. Somewhere I feel that there's a transition there. Earlier, a typical Bengali household would, even a lower middle class household would have a water body and want to do something with it, but now it seems to have completely disappeared from their design. When we found that a lot of the problem is also real estate, because due to lack of very interesting other options of job and economy, real estate is the main economy it seems to me at least, as the main economy in West Bengal. So because of real estate, a lot of the ponds are being swallowed up, and some of it illegally, because we have a law which protects ponds, but it's being converted to land. And we marched on the streets on World Water Day. The slogan, Ami Shudhu Kono Jalashoye Noi, Ami Shojib, Ami Pran, is taken from a poem written by Rohit Prajapati, another environmental activist in Gujarat. We translated his poem because he has been fighting on issues of water justice for a long time. So we translated his poem into Bengali, which says that I'm not just a water body, I am life. And here's where you will see the posters and everything that we made during that time. We're talking about we need the blue in the green. And we also held flash mobs in the city at New Market. We bring to you a small a small song, dance performed, created by the children through all of these Kalaghar workshops, and performed today by the children of Nonadanga, who are just behind in a slum, not very far from here, 20 minutes from here. You can visit in the evening if you want. We'll start. Can you play the audio file, please? Thank you. We'll start. Yeah.
এক এই জলাশয়ের সকল প্রাণী এগিয়ে গিয়ে দেখ, দুই একে দুই মানুষের আবর্জনায় ভাসছি আমি তুই। এক একে এক এই জলাশয়ের সকল প্রাণী এগিয়ে গিয়ে দেখ, দুই একে দুই মানুষের আবর্জনায় ভাসছি আমি তুই। নালার জল আমার পেটে ঢুকছে প্রতিদিন, চার একে চার পাই না খেতে। তাতেই কি বাজায় আসে কার। তিন একে তিন, তোর নালার জল আমার পেটে ঢুকছে প্রতিদিন। চার একে চার, পাই না খেতে তাতেই কি বাজায় আসে কার। পাঁচ একে পাঁচ, ফুড প্যাকেটের বাসি তেলে জল ফড়িংয়ের নাচ। ছয় একে ছয়, সবুজহীনা কংক্রিট বাড়ি বুক চিতিয়ে রয়। পাঁচ একে পাঁচ, ফুড প্যাকেটের বাসি তেলে জল ফড়িংয়ের নাচ। ছয় একে ছয়, সবুজহীনা কংক্রিট বাড়ি বুক চিতিয়ে রয়। বুক চিতিয়ে রয় আর বুক চিতিয়ে রয়। সাত একে সাত, লালন বলে জলে খিদে নাই মানে রে যা। আট একে আট, নাই রে আমার জটিল জীবন সহজ পাঠ। সাত একে সাত, লালন বলে জলে খিদে নাই মানে রে যা। আট একে আট, নাই আমার জটিল জীবন সহজ পাঠ। নয় একে নয়, তোদের সকল ভাষা নিয়ে মোদের বড় ভয়। আর নয় একে নয়, তোদের সকল ভাষা নিয়ে মোদের বড় ভয়। দশ একে দশ, আমরা সকল অতীত হলে মানুষ হবে বশ। আমরা সকল অতীত হলে মানুষ হবে বশ। আমরা সকল অতীত হলে মানুষ হবে বশ।
So these children are coming from Nonadanga, and you can see this water body. It was their community that came to us initially and said, can we do something about this place? This is not very far from, it's on the buffer lands of the East Kolkata wetlands. You and I both know that there's a metro coming up, there's an entire city that's changing here. When we tried to, we actually, with all the cultural flash mobs and all that artwork that we did, we actually got other bunch of citizens to support us to clean the water body. So we managed to even financially raise money to clean it. We wanted to clean this water body because the people said they don't get, they get intermittent supply of water, and this water would help them to meet their other needs. However, we did not get permissions. We went to town, you know, trying to get permissions to clean it. We were not allowed. So the citizens, you know, stakes in the city and what we want in terms of sustainability is something which we need to push for more. This water body recently has begun to be cleaned. There is a HUDCO planning site opposite it, but there is no HUDCO fencing in front of this water body. We don't know what's happening, but we do know that as per the law, you're not allowed to convert water into land. That much we know. And we also know that we have access to commons as citizens. Our parks, our open spaces, the sky, the air we breathe, and our water bodies. It's all about how you and I, all of us together, are able to make this happen in our city. With the money that we got, we managed to cooperate with the Birji Patuli fishing community. That fishing cooperative has managed to fight and keep some of its resources. So we collaborated on cleaning up the Patuli area. Some of you might have gone and seen in the Patuli stretch, there is a whole lot of shops. We are really worried that those people will eat food and throw it in the water bottle behind. We've actually cleaned that up. So if you ever go there with your friends, tell your friends not to throw waste in there. And that is actually used for fishing. And it actually supports, the water bottle we cleaned, it supported 70 fishing families in the city. So, and there's lots more we can do with everybody's support. And this gives you an example of nature-based solutions, where a building is not making a big building, which anyways recently we saw that it was tilted, where there was one, some of you must have seen it in popular media, that a few people will earn money out of it. But when you have conservation-based livelihoods like this, many can earn money out of the same thing. So finding economic solutions, nature-based solutions and livelihoods that can help more people rather than one or two people is something that we want to kind of push for. So these were the total wards that we surveyed. The ones in dots, you are sitting right now in ward 108, which is also one of the bad wards, where water bodies are being taken over or they are not being maintained. These were places where actually water bodies are fast disappearing. The children who've come and danced in front of you, I sometimes when I go to the area, I keep thinking, because every time I go I see a change. I see a big building plan coming up or some new light. And this is this slum which has fought eviction a few years ago. And I sometimes wonder what's going to happen to this community. Are they going to be taken care of in the same way as the two large buildings, Urbana and this other thing that's coming up there? Is it going to be the same? It's not. And this childhood or this entire process that you saw of the people who went there, have been going there, it's all going to be intangible. It's actually going to be intangible heritage. You're not going to see it after some years. This is the second pond of Kolkata book, which is with all the East Kolkata wetland thing, which is, here we'd say that, it's a Ramsar site. So what happened here? I mean, Lake Chilka was cleaned up and it was done well. Why could we not do it here? Is the question we are left with. So we've put a lot of suggestions for whoever is in decision making or is reaching those forums to see if they can, take our views forward. One of the ways in which Jaladarsha works is through festivals, and we do community festivals. The community festival is a way of bringing together a world in front of you through art, images, performances, research findings. The festival for us is a way of breaking down hierarchies again, where people of different contexts and backgrounds meet, and it's like a melting pot. So every year we hold community art festivals. We've held our first one was called Flows Beyond Barriers, after which we held an Indigenous Seed Festival, which was held in Sundarban, which was on seed preservation to fight climate change. And this year we did a festival called Towards Sustainable Flows, which was on our studies on canals of Kolkata, which I will come to later. But our festival spaces are actually our ways of bringing forward community gathering and creating a world where we can think about the city. So in these festival spaces have had a lot of ripple effects. Like other people who've come, listened to us, seen our work, they wanted to take it on and do their own work with it. Some of the artwork that people put together through these festivals, some of the performances. And we had a dialogue, community-based dialogue, where community members approached the table and actually we tried to look at deeper questions. I'll come to that later. We will just talk about the ripple effects that it had. Like after that festival, there was a person who was serving chai at our festival who said that, why don't you take the message and put it on my stall? So we put the message on his stall, and the school approached us and said, why don't you do something on water in our school? So this, what we mean by ripple effect, every time we have someone who comes in, and we believe that every individual can do something. So these were some of the ways in which we took it forward in the city. There was someone who was interested in, displaying our work. So they requested Kostab Chakraborty to do who's an artist who works with us, to do a solo art exhibition at BCAF. And the exhibition was only to do with, whatever Jaladarsha has been working on and working with in all of these years. A lot of people wrote about it in the city, in newspapers after that exhibition. This is our Towards Sustainable Flows art and research event, where we published our last book, which is on the canals of Kolkata. Because the deeper conversation that we got into with the community dialogue was that the fishing communities were saying that we are not getting water in the East Kolkata wetlands. And here we are saying that, East Kolkata wetlands is the most beautiful model. Kolkata is one of the cities which is studied globally for its sewage, how we manage our sewage. The biggest urban problem is sewage. Now, we had a system where we could actually manage our sewage, but we seem to be killing it. And our Salt Lake, in the Salt Lake area, we've already lost quite a few of part of those water bodies. There are some remnants of fishing cooperative offices there, and in the Dattobad area, you'll see a small pond, which used to be actually a very large fishing pond there. So we decided in that deeper conversation that, when people are saying we are not getting any water in the wetlands, then where is the water? How does the water come here? Where does the water flow? Where does it come from? And we began to actually realize that the canals are laid over our earlier drainage system. And when we looked at, the early 1500s, if you see that small poster there, you'll see the paths in red. We actually realized those red paths of the rivers are missing. So when we tried to go looking for our rivers, we found rivers which had lost their stomach. We found rivers which had lost their head. We found rivers which we could not track. We found disappeared rivers. And this was happening at a time when there was a raging movement in the city, where all the women in our office were reclaiming the night. So these two things came together for us, where we began to think, what are we doing to the women in this city, and what are we doing to the rivers in this city? So the artists who performed there, they titled their performance, "The First Water is Our Body." So presenting to you by Uma Banerjee, Aopala Banerjee and Bedaparna Roy, "The First Water is Our Body." Can we please play the audio?
We think of our bodies as being all that we are. I am my body. This thinking helps us to respect water, air, land, one another. But water is not external from our body, ourself. The water we drink, like the air we breathe, is not a part of our body, but is our body. What we do to one, to the body, to the water, we do to the other.
দেহতরি দিলাম ছাড়িও গুরু তোমার নামে দেহতরি দিলাম ছাড়িও তোমারি নামে এবার আমি যদি ডুবে মরি আমি যদি ডুবে মরি কলঙ্ক তোমার নামে দেহতরি দিলাম ছাড়িয়া গুরু তোমারি নামে।
Legend has it that the city was born when the ocean started churning and a tortoise, Kurma, gasped out a deep breath, pressed between the Mandar mountains and Ananta, the infinite. Kurma's breath spread and created the country of Kilkila, which forms the lower stretches of the Bengal Delta, where the silt-laden river moves sluggishly and the land is flat. Coincidentally, recent geological findings are in tune with the oceanic origins of the Kurma legend and show that the lower Bengal was not merely of tectonic origins but is a remnant of oceanic basin. Not surprisingly, locals have called this Buruniyar Desh, meaning tidal swamps or lowlands.
বেলগাছি, মন্দিরপুর, বেলিনি, রায়পুর, গোবরডাঙ্গা আর বয়সপুর হয়ে বেড়াচ্ছি নদিয়ার বালিয়ানি, চাঁদমারি, মদনপুর, চণ্ডীরামপুর, বিরোধী, হরিণঘাটা, সুবর্ণপুর, মোল্লাবেলিয়া, গোপালনগর ও চৌবেরিয়া হয়ে গাইঘাটায় ঢোকে। তারপর রায়মঙ্গল, কালিন্দী আর হরিয়ানার মধ্যে দিয়ে চলে যায় বঙ্গোপসাগরে। গঙ্গা, যমুনা, সরস্বতীর সঙ্গম ত্রিবেণী। ইছামতির সাথে যমুনা যেখানে মিলিত হয় সেখানে এখনো একটু আছে তার অস্তিত্ব আছে। কল্যাণী শহর বানানোর সময় যমুনার উৎসকে মেরে ফেলা হয়। আস্তে আস্তে প্রায় গোটা নদীটা হেসে
So this was a short story of one of the many rivers that flowed from Tribeni and disappeared. We found many such rivers that have disappeared. And this was during the study of the canals of Kolkata, trying to understand what the canals are doing to our city. How it was first constructed to route sewage through the city into the East Kolkata wetlands. So I would request Shovik and Debushmita. These are some of the artworks that we put, and you can refer to the map here. So if we can just show where Circular Canal is, which was the first built canal during the 1700s. So there was a creek there which we lost. So there are several lost creeks. And when we went back to the place names in Kolkata, so the word Joda Shako, for instance, means two bamboo bridges, which obviously means that it went over some water body at some time. Or Goria, which comes from mangroves, or Entali, which comes from Hetal, which is again a type of mangrove. So the entire city is located within a landscape which we are forgetting, and as a result we are ruining many of the rivers down south. Bidadhori, Bidadhori is slowly disappearing. Matla has changed its course. So there are rivers around us which are creating a lot of other kind of problems because their initial flow has been disturbed. We decided to look at the canals because they bring water to East Kolkata wetlands. They actually take sewage out of the city. So we tried to understand what we are calling, if we are talking about towards sustainable flows. When we were going towards Sundarban area, people said, you need to send us fresh water. If we don't get fresh water, all the sea water which is salty, that's all that we are going to get, brackish water. So are we allowing, so that's why we came up with this term, towards sustainable flows. Are we allowing flows to happen sustainably? Uh, the Adi Ganga, which is the older course of the Hooghly, is today almost like a drain. And you can see the pictures. A flyover has been built over the Adi Ganga. And now there is a World Bank project to actually, this is all something we dug up from our research. There's a World Bank project to maintain the Adi Ganga. It's halfway through. And we looked at what's happening. We didn't feel that much has been done. There's lots more work required from that project. And you can see foaming in some of the sites near Keorapukur, which actually means that people are releasing untreated water here as well. There's been a very interesting judgment again in Gujarat, where now corporate bodies have been told to treat their water before they release it into the river. There's a very horrible story I recently heard in the city about a river in Himachal Pradesh where a corporate body was told to treat water. The treatment plant costed 15 lakhs, but they chose a 2 lakh plant, and they are releasing water into that area, which basically nobody knows about it, but people know that for 3 generations you may not be able to farm with that water. So when we say corporate social responsibility, I think this is one of the ways in which you could be responsible. You know, get a 15 lakh plant and treat your water rather than asking for, you don't need to give funds to NGOs and us. Just do your thing responsibly, you know. This is Bagjola Khal. You can see the part near Newtown area, completely foaming. So again, nothing's being done there. Interesting we particularly looked at Dhankheti canal because it flows into the river. So we wanted to see, you know, what condition it is in. And there's garbage. There's a pumping station there where the pumping station workers said that when there is high tide, because remember, all our rivers are in tidal swarms. So when there is high tide, there is backflow into the river from these openings. And sometimes they are forced to throw the garbage in because they don't want the city to get flooded. So when we asked the pumping station workers, what is it that you want to tell the citizens of Kolkata? They said, please tell them to stop throwing filth into the canals, because it will make our job easier. We won't be polluting the river. So, you know, these were certain things that they said. It wasn't us. So, Monikhal, parts of it looked beautiful, as you can see. Very beautiful place. Some of these places are really beautiful. And it's a part of the city that we don't usually see, but they're actually very beautiful. You can go for walks there, see the place. But you can see this part, which is right near the Accra pumping station, again full of foam, released straight into the river. The circular canal, the oldest canal, stretches of it have been cleaned, but there are large stretches which need to be cleaned. The DWF and the stormwater, it's not here, but the DWF canal you can see on the map. We went to the entire stretch, and again it was black sewage which is flowing into the Kultigang area. Now the farmers in Bhangur are all migrating out. We sometimes wonder, you know, why is everybody migrating out? Now if my source of livelihood is going to be taken from me, I'll have to migrate out. So the farmers are not able to use that water that is sent. So, you know, the people there's another larger pumping station being built. Apparently from Salt Lake, there's going to be another route of sewage that's going in there straight. So the other thing is that the East Kolkata wetlands carrying capacity clearly is reducing if so much sewage is falling into these neighboring rivers. So what is happening to the East Kolkata wetlands? Again, we had ripple effects. There was an artist who wanted to pick this issue up went to Salt Lake. We were working in South Calcutta, went to Salt Lake and depicted it in Novotel, which is a hotel chain, which is again talking about water issues. The Behala Arts Festival, an artist talked, because a lot of our studies are done in Behala. She did an installative art project and raising the issue. We'll end today's session with just one small exercise. Our volunteers will share 2 pieces of paper with you. If you could think of the first time you faced a water crisis, just tell us in 2 words when and where that was, and what would you do in the public domain. Like, we are not asking for what you'll do in the private domain. Of course, you'll close your water taps. Of course, you won't waste water at home. But what will you do in the public domain to support, the preservation of water? What can you do? I mean, it can be in an idea form, but just write it in the piece of paper while Taishi ends the song I had spoken about, Ami Shudhu Kono Jalashoy Noi, Ami Shojib, Ami Pran. It is a song translated in Bangla, and it talks about activism, people who have been working on issues of water, and our view of how we see water. Thank you.